Ever feel like true happiness is just out of reach? Like it's this fleeting thing, always depends on everything going perfectly right.
Yeah.
Well, get ready to unlock a whole new understanding of joy because today we're diving deep into the nature of happiness.
And how to actually cultivate it
Yeah,
from within.
exactly. And we've got some really fascinating material to guide us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Excerpts from a conversation between Tony Robbins, Sage Robbins, and a spiritual teacher, Michael Singer.
From the Tony Robbins podcast.
That's right. Singer offers some seriously insightful perspectives on why our usual chase for happiness might actually be setting us up for disappointment.
And more importantly, what we can do about it.
Exactly.
It all starts with understanding what Singer calls, get this, the truth table of happiness.
Okay, a truth table. That sounds, I don't know, kind of technical.
Yeah, it does. It's actually quite simple, but really powerful. Singer breaks it down into 4 basic scenarios based on whether we get what we want or don't get what we want.
I think we've all been there,
Right.
riding those emotional waves.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, scenario 1, you get what you want, happiness.
Makes sense.
Scenario 2,
Yeah.
you get what you don't want, unhappiness.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward so far, right?
Totally. Totally relatable. Okay, so what about the don't get scenarios?
Well, not getting what you want leads to disappointment, and not getting what you don't want brings relief.
So it's like he's mapped out our emotional reactions to
Yeah.
all of life's ups and downs.
Precisely. And the key takeaway here, I think, is how much of our happiness is actually conditional, based on all these external factors.
Which, let's face it, we can't always control.
Right. We can't.
So we're kind of putting our happiness in the hands of fate, hoping things will just go our way.
Yeah, and that's where things get tricky. Because as Singer points out, this whole getting what you want approach to happiness, it's kind of a recipe for struggle.
Because life, let's be honest, it's unpredictable. You just can't control everything.
Exactly. You can't. And that's Singer's first point, the low probability factor. Trying to orchestrate your life so you always get what you want. I mean, good luck with that.
It's like trying to control the weather.
Exactly.
Talk about setting yourself up for frustration.
Right. And even if you do manage to get what you want, Singer points to this other problem, the problem of diminishing returns.
Yes. That new car smell fades. The excitement of the promotion kind of wears off.
And you're left chasing that next thing, thinking that's what will finally bring you lasting happiness.
It's an endless cycle.
It is. It is.
And as if those two weren't enough, right? There's also the constantly changing desires issue.
Oh, totally. What makes us happy today?
Might not do the trick tomorrow.
Right. Our wants and needs, they're always evolving. So we're constantly chasing a moving target.
Oh, it's exhausting. So, okay. If this whole getting what you want thing isn't the key to true happiness, what is?
Well, Singer suggests that we need to shift our focus from external circumstances to our internal state to cultivate this sense of joy that's independent of those ever-changing external factors.
So it's about finding happiness from within, not from chasing those external things.
Exactly. But here's the thing. If our desires are the fuel for our happiness, and those desires are constantly changing and often based on things outside our control,
Yeah.
well, how do we actually get to that place of inner joy?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And Singer dives into the source of our desires, suggesting it might be more surprising than we think.
Okay, go on.
It all comes down to
Yeah.
programming and blockages.
Programming, like we're robots.
No, not exactly.
Yeah.
But Singer argues that our desires aren't always these conscious choices that we make. They're heavily influenced by past experiences, societal expectations, things we've been told, even things that we've just observed.
That makes sense. It's like how your entire opinion of someone, like it can totally change after hearing like one negative story about them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the power of programming. And according to Singer, these programs, especially the ones that are rooted in uncomfortable experiences,
Right.
they can create these internal blockages that shape our perceptions of what we need to be happy.
So it's like these past hurts and disappointments, they're actually preventing us from experiencing true joy.
That's what Singer suggests. And he says those blockages, they're the real reason we don't experience lasting happiness. They're like rocks in a stream,
Okay.
disrupting that natural flow of our inner joy.
Okay. So if those blockages are the problem, How do we get rid of them?
That's where Singer's core message comes in.
Hmm.
The power of letting go.
Letting go. I mean, that sounds great in theory, but, how do we actually do that? Especially when it comes to, like, those really deep-seated hurts.
Yeah.
Those arguments that just keep replaying in your head, those disappointments that linger.
Right, right. It's not about pretending those things never happened. It's about changing our relationship to them. And that's where Singer's idea of true spirituality comes in.
Okay, so we're not talking about, like, chanting on a mountaintop or anything.
No, not necessarily. For Singer, true spirituality is about releasing the grip that those past experiences have on us. It's about freeing ourselves from all that internal baggage
Yeah.
that weighs us down,
So instead of resisting those unpleasant experiences, pushing them away, trying to pretend they never happened,
No, we learn to accept them, let them pass through us without getting stuck. Acknowledge them, feel them, and then deal with the situation calmly and clearly.
It's like that quote Singer uses. He says, the moment in front of you is not bothering you. You are bothering yourself about the moment in front of you.
Right.
We create so much of our own suffering by clinging to those disturbances.
So much.
So letting go is really about, like, freeing ourselves from that constant need to control everything, to, manipulate our external world just to feel okay.
Exactly, exactly. And this brings us to Singer's practical technique for cultivating unconditional happiness,
Okay.
starting with what he calls low-hanging fruit.
Okay, low-hanging fruit. I'm intrigued. What does that even mean in the context of happiness?
Well, think of all those everyday annoyances
Oh, yeah.
that we let just steal our peace. Traffic, bad weather, long lines, minor inconveniences.
Yeah. I am definitely guilty of letting those things get to me. It's like complaining about the weather is practically a national sport.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And Singer would probably say, we're getting starburst.
Starburst. Wait, what?
Metaphorically speaking, of course. But he points out how ridiculous it is to get upset about something. That's 93 million miles away.
Okay.
Complaining about the sun, it's not going to change it, right?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. But how does accepting these low-hanging fruit situations, how does that actually lead to lasting happiness?
It's about training our minds, like building a muscle. If we can learn to accept and even, like, relax into those minor annoyances,
Yeah. Right.
then we'll be better equipped to handle, like, those bigger challenges with grace and composure.
Precisely. It's like building up our resilience reserves.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all connects. But what about when those bigger challenges hit? Those curveballs life throws our way. How do we navigate those without getting totally swept away?
That's where Singer's key technique comes in.
Okay.
Relaxation.
Relaxation seems almost too simple.
It is simple,
Yeah.
but it's incredibly powerful when you feel that disturbance arise, whether it's, from a low-hanging fruit situation or something more significant.
Yeah.
Instead of getting caught up in the resistance, simply relax your body and mind.
So we're not suppressing the feeling.
Right.
We're just observing it
Observing it.
and letting it pass through without resistance.
Exactly. You're letting the river flow without getting caught up in the rocks. Okay, yeah, I like that analogy. But what happens next? Like, will that feeling just disappear?
It might.
Yeah.
But even if it doesn't, you're changing your relationship to it.
Okay.
And as you practice this, Singer suggests something truly remarkable starts to happen.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Tell me more.
Okay, so as you learn to let go, right,
Mm-hmm.
you start to access this deeper well
Mm-hmm.
of joy within.
Okay.
A joy that's not dependent on external circumstances, but rather it's your natural state.
So it's like we have this inherent capacity for joy that's always there, but it's been kind of blocked by all that internal clutter.
Exactly. And Singer connects this to the idea of Shakti, or, vital energy that flows within us.
Okay, loving all these analogies. So Shakti is like this powerful river.
Yes. And the blockages that we've been talking about, they're like dams in the river, right? Preventing the free flow of that energy.
Okay. And when we remove those dams, through letting go, through relaxation, that river flows smoothly, powerfully, nourishing our entire being.
Beautifully put. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Singer says that as we remove more and more of those blockages, the joy, it intensifies.
Wait, so the more we let go, the happier we become.
That's the idea. And it gets even more radical. He suggests that experiences that once caused us pain
Mm.
can actually become triggers
Yeah.
for profound joy as the energy flows through more freely.
So we're not just like putting on this happy face
Yeah.
and pretending everything's fine.
No, no, not at all. It's about going deeper, addressing those root causes
Mm-hmm.
of unhappiness, those those blockages we've been talking about, those rocks in the stream of our inner joy. Well, Singer would say that those rocks, they're actually made of resistance.
So by learning to relax into those disturbances, we're actually like dissolving the blockages.
Exactly. And as those blockages dissolve, as that resistance melts away, that stream of joy
Mm.
within us,
Mm.
it can flow more freely.
That's a powerful image. But, let's be real here for a second. Life throws some pretty big curveballs sometimes. How are we supposed to, like, stay afloat when those massive waves come crashing down? I mean, heartbreak, loss, setbacks. I mean, those are tough experiences.
Right. Well, that's where Singer's perspective gets really interesting. He points out that those big challenges, the ones that, really knock us off our feet, those can actually become the most potent catalysts
Mm-hmm.
for growth.
Okay. How does that work?
Well, think of it like this. Each time you face a challenge and you choose acceptance and relaxation over resistance,
Right.
you're strengthening that inner muscle.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
building resilience.
So we're not just, like, enduring those tough times. We're
No.
actually using them to, like, deepen our capacity for joy.
Exactly. And Singer takes it even further, saying that as we become more adept at this practice, as we clear away those internal blockages,
Okay.
even those experiences that once caused us pain, they can actually become sources of, wait for it, ecstasy.
Hold on. Are you saying, like, heartbreak could lead to bliss? Getting laid off could become a moment of, like, profound joy? That sounds pretty radical.
That's the potential Singer's pointing to.
Yeah.
It's not about seeking out suffering, of course, but recognizing that every experience, even the most challenging ones, can become opportunities
Yeah.
for profound liberation. It's about transforming our relationship
Yeah.
with those difficult emotions.
Okay, yeah. That's a pretty big shift in perspective. So, okay, how do we start putting this into practice? What does this all mean for our, like, everyday lives?
Oh, it means you have the power to choose happiness, regardless of your external circumstances.
Hmm.
It's not about, waiting for things to be perfect
Mm.
or for life to go your way. It's about cultivating that inner wellspring of joy.
But true joy isn't something you chase out there in the world. It's something you nurture from within.
Exactly. It's about shifting from a state of resistance to a state of acceptance, from fighting against life to flowing with it.
And it all starts with those low-hanging fruit situations, right? Those
Yes.
everyday annoyances that we let, like, steal our peace.
Those are your training ground. Next time you find yourself, getting annoyed about the weather, a long line at the grocery store, or your phone dying at the worst possible moment, just take a breath.
Relax into that feeling of annoyance. See it for what it is. Just energy passing through. Don't give it the power to control you.
And in that moment
Yes.
of acceptance, you're chipping away
Yeah.
at those internal dams, allowing that river of joy within you to
Yeah.
flow more freely.
Imagine a life where you feel this deep sense of peace
Mhm.
and joy, no matter what's happening around you. That's the power of untethering your soul. That's the power of choosing happiness from within.